Well, you're all very welcome to the first podcast episode of Beyond B2B Beyond 2021 with Richard McKeown of WSI. And I'm delighted, as well as having Richard himself, as always, we'll have him on every episode to give us nuggets of wisdom in terms of where companies should go in the digital sphere in B2B. But we also have two very great panelists today who are at the coalface of business in terms of B2B. Patrick Hogan, who is the founder of the SeaBox Group, and Chris Moore, who's the sales manager at Digi Systems Ireland Limited. So you're both very welcome, and we'll be chatting to you both in a few minutes about your take on everything. But let's start with Richard. How are you today, Richard? Richard, you may be great, but you're on mute.
Never get used to the unmuting. Great, thanks, Breandán. Thanks to Patrick and Chris for joining us today. Really looking forward to having a chat and just talking about, what the future holds and kind of how the last year or two have changed the landscape. So,
Richard, what can we expect to look out for in the series as we go forward? What should people what will people get from this particular series, if you like? And I suppose, what should people focus on in terms of their B2B strategies with digital?
I think really what we've found, we've been doing this for 25 years, but I think, WSI has been around since before Google. But I think the one key thing that's always stayed consistent throughout that time is just actually making sure that companies have the right strategy. And once they know that, then they're in a good place to, to be aware of what's coming up. I think, the pace of adoption has changed greatly, and COVID has really accelerated that, particularly in the B2B space. But I think, some of the basics are going to stay the same. Yes, things are going to become very complicated. There's going to be a lot more AI. There's going to be a lot more systems. Even in the marketing space, there only used to be about 150 systems in 10 years ago. Now there's thousands and thousands. But I think, the one thing everyone just needs to keep in focus is, search will always be there. So you'll always need to be found. And I think, it doesn't matter whether that's on voice, whether it's on, online, whether it's Facebook, whatever it is, you just always need to be found. And then I think the other big thing is, which we've had at the moment, is you just, when you get that traffic to, your site or your page or wherever you're sending it, is just making sure that you're set up to convert them. That's, comes back to the human psychology. So, even being found, that's the first barrier. But once you get someone onto your site, it's actually converting them and actually getting them to do what you want them to do. So,
yeah, I mean, it's like sport in many ways. The basics are always going to be the foundation stone of what you have to do. And as you've said, you've always got to be found, and then you've got to have a conversion policy. But it's becoming more and more sophisticated, isn't it? The way that people are converting, and the way that maybe customer journeys are, and maybe it's personalization or whatever. But there are complexities, aren't there, Richard, that have probably increased over the last year, and we'll be looking at towards the future throughout this episode of what people can look out for.
Yeah, no, complexities have definitely increased, but companies still just need to be very clear that when they're developing their online properties, what do they want someone to do when they go onto their website? And you'd be surprised at the amount of companies that don't have that. And that comes back to actually making sure you've got the correct strategy. It's like trying to build a house without any plans. It's just gonna, you might do it, but you're gonna turn into problems, and it's gonna cost more than you want, kind of thing. And that's, it's coming back to that key bit. And there's great opportunities out there, and the world's become a much smaller place. It's much easier to connect with people now than it was. You don't have to travel as much as you used to. Everyone's more willing to use Zoom and all these different bits and pieces. So, there's tons and tons of opportunity out there. So
yeah. And again, throughout the series, Richard, we'll be looking at in terms of, from your perspective, tips on how people can clarify strategy.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you know, it's I mean, we are talking about a web, so it's like it can get tangled in terms of when you've got a lot of stock or when you've got a lot of particular issues confusing things. But you'll have particular tips on clarifying strategy, isn't that right?
Yeah, and it just comes back to the fundamentals of business that have always been there. You know, who's your target market, and what's the problem that you solve for them. It's, you know, I think as humans we often tend to overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you try and keep those two basic questions in the back of your mind, it always helps. So.
Okay. Well, listen, let's dive into the exciting part of every episode for Richard and I, is talking to people on the coalface. So I'm going to talk first of all to Patrick Hogan. You're the founder of the SeaBox Group, Patrick.
Yes, Breandán.
Tell us about the SeaBox Group first of all.
So SeaBox Group in Ireland was set up in 2016. So myself and Jim Brennan, who's the CEO of SeaBox in the US. So it's an Irish-American partnership. We set up the office here to expand outside the Northeast United States. And we are in container manufacturing, container modifications, but also we diverse into from housing to batteries to heating to anything that can be put into an ISO container. And even last year, we developed a hospital that can be transported anywhere in the world in 48 hours.
Wow.
But as the company moves, and I've been on a podcast with you, Breandán, before. We in 2017 we purchased a small mechanical engineering firm to get more into the energy sector. So heating, energy, automation, electronics. So that's SeaBox Energy. Then in 2018, I spent 10 years in e-commerce, and I saw a need for something that was different in the market, and trying to make construction a lot easier as well. And I created Energy Store, which was after COVID happened. It rebranded as iTrolley, selling over 80,000 products online in a just in time side of the business. And we ship to 1,000 countries, over 1,000, no, it's about 100 countries a month, 100 countries a month. And we also then have our own construction firm, which is Smart Builder. That actually launched February 2020. Not the best time to launch, because the next month everything just fell down. But towards the back end of last year, it's really busy. It's so busy now. It's a great time to be in construction. Obviously, we're going to talk about supply and all that issues in the podcast today. But next week we actually launch a first of its kind brochure type of BIM system online as well, which I've been putting back so much because of changing staff and trying to recruit staff as well, which I'm guessing that's going to be a topic as well in this. But overall, that's about the SeaBox Group.
Okay, I'm going to have to stop you there for a minute, Patrick. All of those businesses, and listen, I know from my experience here, managing one business is hard. How can you manage all of those? I mean, your strategy, your strategizing, as Richard is talking about, it has to be of a very high level there, doesn't it, on each of those? Yeah,
you see, I drink a lot of coffee. My strategy in this is to recruit people either with knowledge, and my ops team is really, really good. I've worked with all of them for years now, but to make brand managers of each area and really focus them on that task. So in construction, I have, who is one of my best friends, it would be, has 30 years experience in construction, all types of construction. So he can run that, and then he has the support team behind him. I still like being out there, getting redeveloping things and all that. And just even from that, I went into the construction industry because I did my own house, and I did it up, and then I was very bold. Went to Black Kitchen and all these different things, but I saw the value in what could be done. And a friend of mine as well is in New York real estate, and we were talking quite a bit about the Irish market and how much of a bounce it's going to have in the next 10 years, and that was nearly 4 years ago. So we're really seeing that now. But the strategy I invoke is I don't sleep that much, but it is training people and giving people a chance. Okay. So a lot of people I employ don't have the experience in a set area, but I train them to have a career forward. And what I find is if you give them a chance, then that chance will bring them to their next level, which means that they'll stay with me and grow the career path forward. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, no, that's very good. Before I go to Chris, I'm gonna keep probing this because I find this very interesting, Patrick. So essentially, you're trusting brand managers for each of the different brands. Yeah. How hands-on do you have to get, or do you want to stay out of there? Are you a micromanager for them, or do you stay away from it?
In some ways, I have to be a micromanager because let's say the person in charge of e-commerce now he's new, he's never worked with e-commerce. Now, I developed e-com with another developer. I have the experience of doing that, but I try to stay away from the day-to-day runnings of it. I before, when it was really busy and we limited the staff here and all that for COVID, I was talking to customers every day. If it was a bar of chocolate worth €2 or someone spending 4,000 euros on a shed, I'll treat them the same. I do like talking. You probably guessed that from my probably 8 minutes going forward now. But I'm trying my best to step away from the like overly micromanaging things and keeping it at a high level. So and to do with the dev, design and UX and all that, you know. Okay. Just a bit more.
Well, listen, we'll chat further in the program, but yeah, that's, you need high energy, no doubt about it, and I can see why you're drinking so much coffee. Let's go to Chris. Chris, tell us about Digi Systems Ireland, and tell us about your journey so far in B2B.
Digi Systems Ireland in business for around 30 years. We are the main distributor for Digi Systems in Japan, in the Irish market. And we basically supply equipment to the retail industry. So majoritively will be weighing equipment for delis and pre-pack and all that kind of stuff, and also then electronic shelf labeling. So you go into a store now and you, rather than the old paper labels that you'd see on the shelf edges, you got the electronic labeler, which basically is centrally controlled by the store, and therefore takes away the actual need for anyone to go around and print off labels and go and put them in. And if you think about an average, say, large supermarket has in excess of 8,000 SKUs, and they change their prices maybe every 2 to 3 weeks, it makes a huge difference to their business. Me personally, I joined the business in January, and my background is 25 years in packaging, so it's a little bit different for me. But at the heart of what we do is what I've always done, which is customer service, customer satisfaction, and basically working with the customers and the retailers to increase their information cycle that they get back from the machinery, and also hopefully increase revenue by knowing exactly what it is that you're selling.
Yeah. How important, Chris, is the digital contact side of things for you now?
It's become more important. So when I joined the company, typically the machinery that we would supply would have a 5 to 7 year shelf life in the store, but retailers will actually try and keep it for a little bit longer. And obviously technology moves on. So The older machinery was very heavily dependent on human interaction. So if there was a problem, you'd have to send an engineer. Nowadays, all of our systems are networked. Majority of the information is controlled via cloud. And we can probably solve about 90% of issues without having to send an engineer to site from the offices here with our support engineers at the desks. So we can log into every machine practically on our network across in excess of 400 stores. And especially with the newer machines, we can go in and change settings, we can add products, we can take products away, and we can do all of that. So it is a hugely important part of the business now. We're probably a little bit behind from the website point of view. I'm laughing, Richard, when I hear you there. We're in the process of redesigning at the moment. Hopefully it'll be live soon. Our kind of business is based more, the website is a real information portal, and it'll generate the lead. Therefore, we have to show the equipment to people. We have to kind of demonstrate to them how it'll make their business better. So the website is just that, it's an information portal. And it's the same with LinkedIn and Facebook and stuff like that. We try and keep up to date. A lot of the retailers we deal with wouldn't be on LinkedIn, but they actually use Facebook quite a lot for their stores.
Yeah. Okay. So would that mean would you have to engage a lot with them through Facebook then?
We try and engage a little bit through Facebook. We have a new girl in the office who's looking after that. It's a kind of a new part of the business that they kind of didn't really focus on before. Our business has always been historically, from before I joined it, it's a boots on the ground type business. You know, you need to get in and see people. You need to press the flesh. COVID has obviously changed all of that. Even though we would be considered essential services because obviously it's food based, retailers still didn't want non-essential people on the premises. So therefore we've had to try and do a lot more stuff remotely and adapt for that. But we're still boots on the ground. It's still a kind of you have to go in and show people the equipment. But you know, we try and generate the interest via the internet, via LinkedIn, via Facebook, because again, it's a really fast FMCG, fast moving consumer goods, but the equipment wasn't as fast moving as the consumer goods were.
I see,
that's now changing. So we do have a lot of, you know, new stuff that comes on, and it is hard always to get that information out to people, especially when you're dealing with independent retailers.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And Richard, just it's going to be a point of conversation for us through the series as well. Businesses like yours, Chris, which very much would be a boots on the ground business, there will have to be a lot more of a sophisticated digital contact over the coming year, certainly, because it's the way things have gone, but also I think you're competing in a world now where that's the way people contact, you know. Richard, just your impression on listening to Patrick and Chris. These are two great businesses, I'll put like that, and multiples when it comes to Patrick. But your impression on just that, what you've heard.
No, it's amazing. And since both Chris and Patrick, you know, have found their own ways to use the internet. It's also really interesting, even though, you know, we're talking about, you know, beyond 2021, the whole social and human interaction comes into it as well. So, you know, it just shows you, you know, the internet and technology can be great for trying to grow you that lead, but actually trying to keep that human touch is really important. And I think that's really important because there's, you know, in that whole online space, there's 4 kind of massive companies who are kind of trying to take over the world. So you've got Amazon, you've got Google, obviously, you've got Facebook, and you've got Apple. And they're actually, you know, changing a lot of what's going to happen in the future. There's a lot of privacy laws coming up, but it sounds as if both Chris and Patrick actually have a good feel on, you know, that human interaction with the customers. Because another really important thing moving forward is actually making sure that you own your audience. I think, you know, there's tons of examples in the States. So, you know, for instance, the likes of Toys R Us and Circuit City, whereby, you know, they did business with Amazon and Amazon Marketplace, and that's, you know, that's an amazing source for smaller companies to have. But I think it's really, really important that everyone still owns their own business model and they can control that, because I think, you know, unfortunately, there's proof out there that, you know, if someone else gets control of your business model and they think your business model works, they can make it very difficult for you to do business. But I think if you own your own audience and have that human interaction with your customers, it makes it much more difficult for someone else to come in.
And does it make it easier? Does it make it easier, Richard, for a boots on the ground type business such as Chris is talking about, if there's a digital policy that runs alongside of what Chris would do, for example, that helps them to own their own audience? Is that something that?
Yeah. I think probably Chris. So I've worked in retail. So I worked with Tesco for 10 years. I headed up their local marketing team in Ireland. But so probably Chris and Patrick's problems might be slightly different, or how they get found will be different, because I think the terms that people use to search for Chris's products probably aren't as well searched as some of the terms that Patrick's trying to sell. So Patrick might actually be able to use, you know, Google to generate lots of traffic. There's more people searching for his items, I suspect. Now I've done no research. As Patrick's terms, you know, there's probably not that much traffic for things like, you know, SELs and electronic SELs and stuff like that. So, you know, Patrick can use LinkedIn or Facebook or stuff like that to actually try and connect with people that he knows are his target market. So whether it be an independent retailer or someone in, you know, group purchasing in Tesco or Asda or Spar, because, you know, people are going to be at different stages in the funnel, and Chris is going to need to try and find people further down the funnel to try and convert them quicker. Patrick's got a range of businesses, so you know, the retail one, there's probably tons and tons of search traffic for that. I'm not sure about the construction stuff and who his target market is, but yeah, I think trying to own your own audience, that's really important moving forward, particularly as there's all these changes with cookies and what you can do with the iPhone and what you can do with Google and stuff like that. But if you own your own audience, by all means use Facebook and Google to drive people to your business. But once you've established that relationship, make sure you own that. Make sure you've got, you know, GDPR and all your consent and stuff like that. So
let's get Patrick's perspective on that, because Patrick, you've grown these businesses well and multiples. And for people who are maybe a little bit behind the track on that, but want to do something similar, were those channels important for you in terms of context, so LinkedIn and Facebook, or was there one thing in particular that has helped you so far?
Let's say consumer base, it would be Facebook, Instagram, and that. But for, let's say, iTrolley, which has a variation of products from supermarket foods to electronics and all that, so very similar to the Walmart model in the US. That was grown exponentially by Facebook and social ads and Google ads. But I was very surprised, and Richard said it there, I was very surprised that a lot of businesses, so the small retailer in Donegal, Cavan, all these areas, are buying off us now because we offer free delivery to their stores where other suppliers won't. So our business to business, even in an online sense, is increasing. I think the last time I saw it month on month, it was about 12 to 15% of businesses registering. So which is great. But predominantly our key market would be consumers. In the construction, then is consumers and business. So we're actually 50-50 at the moment on both construction and that. And the only marketing I've ever done is my own self posting. We do have a Facebook page. We haven't updated it in a couple of weeks or a couple of months because it's just been so busy and supply issues and all that. But LinkedIn is the way I actually met Jim. So me and Jim came together from meeting on LinkedIn. And it really shows. And for Chris's business, I love that business because I did 10 years in retail myself, in retail management in GameStop Ireland. But I definitely think the cost of digital signage outweighs human error, which happens a lot, and also as well the fact of interlinking. And you'll see in the next couple of months, and it's happening at the moment, where you have omni-channel stores. So you have they're focusing e-commerce and the store. The store becomes the online warehouse as well. So you don't have a separate online warehouse, which was the model before. But Amazon does this, Walmart does this, but you're taking from the store. But if there's a price update, and I know Chris can talk about this probably more, but the price update then will be able to go from the e-commerce to the store shelf as well in seconds, where that could have taken, I don't know how many staff with 80,000 SKUs would it take, or 8,000, sorry. But I think B2B, and we even saw with SeaBox, when we really focused, and our head of marketing in the US has done a really good job on it. But we saw when we put in a new website and really focused on channel marketing on both Facebook and LinkedIn, we saw 1,000% increase on people coming to us for quotations. Our business in SeaBox was very dependent on military and government contracts, where it's now increased to more of a healthier mix, nearly 50-50 kind of thing.
Okay. Chris, do you want to pick up on those points?
Yeah, again, look, so for me, LinkedIn is it does exactly what it says in the tin. It's a networking solution for us. So we connect with people, then we find, hopefully that they see our LinkedIn channel, because we put up a lot of videos and about installations and stuff like that. We're unfortunately never going to be a kind of a click and collect kind of a business where you go online and order something, because it is the equipment needs to be demonstrated. It needs to be almost tailored to the particular store. And we have actually just invested in another business, which I can't unfortunately share the name of at the moment, but it's
go on.
I can't have to get it. We're doing a proper announcement soon, but it's an add-on business, and actually they will have a very big e-commerce part of the business, which is where customers just go online. And again, at the moment, there's a lot of phone calls and stuff like that. So that'll be much more of an e-commerce type of a business for us, and we're going to be able to build that in the background. But I give you on the e-sell stuff. Patrick's just actually highlighted something there that we've just implemented in a small chain of hardware stores in the Leinster region. They took the e-sales office. They had a very big online business. Problem was, same thing. They changed the price online. By the time it gets down to the stores, they might have had 5 or 6 customers already in going, hey, I saw this online at €55. It's still €75 here. What's the story? And that will only the people who engage with the staff. You'll have a lot of people who walk in and go, hey, what's going on? I'm not, and they'll walk off. So we have now integrated into their website and into their, with their web maintenance, whoever does it in their store. And basically when he changes or she changes the price online, they press enter. There's an algorithm which I have no understanding of whatsoever in the background that basically sends it out, transmits it down into the store, and then sends it out to the required shelf. So basically, it's pretty much instantaneous. You change it online, it'll change in store. And we're talking to a couple of other retailers that wouldn't traditionally be our market base, because of they're not in the kind of servo or food and stuff like that. These would be electronic retailers and stuff, where again they have a similar issue. 20, 30, 40, 60 stores, they go online, They do a lot of changes. They do a lot of online promotion on Facebook and everything else, but then they find it's very difficult, time consuming and costly to roll that out to all of their stores. And what it does is, in some cases, it actually slows them down on what they want to try and do online. So from our point of view, we're doing a lot of work in that area, and it's just really trying to get the word out. You know, this is what we have. Everybody kind of sees us traditionally as a food retail company, but I'm supplying mostly to the food industry, but we're not that anymore. It's still our primary business, absolutely, but we are branching out, and we're using technology now to bring more ideas to people and make their businesses run better. And it's working. It's a slow process. Nothing happens overnight, unfortunately, but we're definitely getting a lot of traction out there.
Great. Richard, just to wrap up stuff.
Sorry, can I just cut in there, Breandán? Just one thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing, you know, Chris's anecdotal examples there of just, you know, customers actually on the aisles, taking out their phone to actually search, you know, products in a hardware store. So it could be paint or a lawnmower or something. But the amount of customer journeys, and Patrick mentioned as well about omnichannel, the amount of customer journeys that start on your phone is just, it's incredible, particularly for higher ticket items. And, you know, higher ticket these days can be anything from 30, 40 euros a piece of clothing to, you know, to bigger things like lawnmowers or, you know, garden furniture or something like that in a hardware store. It's, you know, and it just shows that the importance of omnichannel. And, you know, if you're in a hardware store, whether, you know, whatever one in Dublin or Cork or Galway, you just got to make sure that the whole customer journey is lined up together. It's really important, and you know, that just helps earn customers' trust, and that at the end of the day is what you need to do. So,
and Richard, it's wherever we are right now, it's likely that in 5 years' time, even 2 years' time, things are going to be quite different again. I mean, life is becoming more and more advantageous to the customer, you know, in terms of how they can view things, compare things, and all of that. So we're likely to see a lot more sophistication as we go.
Yeah, and I actually, interesting, in the Irish market, I think there's a big, you know, with Brexit, and I haven't seen any stats, but I suspect if you looked at Amazon's Irish sales, they've probably dropped greatly in the past couple of months. And I know they're building their new distribution center here, but there is an opportunity. You know, Amazon's problem isn't actually, you know, the online part. It's that final bit of actually getting the package into the customer's hand. It's actually getting it from Dublin Airport or Cork Port or wherever, you know, to someone in Galway or Donegal. And I think Irish retailers have a big opportunity over the next, you know, probably only the next year to 18 months to Amazon finish that distribution center to nail it. But yeah, you know, COVID has, you know, people traditionally used to buy airline tickets online, and then they started doing banking online, and all of a sudden COVID, you know, people will buy anything online now, and you know, they've seen how easy it is and how quick it is, and if you can sort out that delivery model and returns and stuff like that, it's, you know, it's I think customers aren't for changing. So
I think one thing that's across any business, whether you're online, whether you're face-to-face, B2B, consumer, it's customer service. And now people have a much higher standard of customer service. And in our business, our customer service also helps the retailer give their consumer a better customer experience. So if you're not on point with that, I don't care how good your product is. I don't care how good your retail or your digital channels and everything else are. You get one shot with people still, and you have to make that shot absolutely count. So what we're focused on here now is to try and make sure that customer experience is at a high level, because again, in our business, retailers talk. I mean, Richard, you worked in Tesco, you knew the people in Dunnes Stores, you knew the people in all the other retailers, and you talked to your opposites. And if you can provide that, they're going to hopefully be your ambassador for the product to say, listen, we had a great experience with Digi Systems. We're after rolling out to a 6 supermarket group down in the southeast. And you know, we've got great feedback from all of the store managers and the head office guys and everything else, and that's going to really stand to us hopefully going forward. So you know, it's great to have the online. Me personally, I don't buy anything from Amazon. That's just a thing. There's a fantastic Irish online retailer that does sportswear that have really nailed your delivery thing, Richard.
Yeah.
Unbelievably so.
Yeah, lifestyle.
And I think,
or you probably you can't say, but
yeah, I think basically that, you know, the consumer here in Ireland has really embraced shop local, whether it be online or whether it be face to face. And I think Irish websites will have seen a great increase in business during COVID. I know obviously the retail and supermarkets have seen a massive increase. But yeah, customer service is still king, no matter what your business is.
You know, it is. And again, it's that human touch. That's the, you know, when there's an issue, there's an opportunity to solve it. And if you can solve it correctly and in a timely manner, you know, that helps earn someone's loyalty. And that's what retail is about at the end of the day. So
what's the saying? People don't remember the issue, but they remember how you sorted it out for them.
And you know, losing a loyal customer is expensive. Takes you, well, at Tesco, it used to take us 13 new customers to try and you know, match any customer we lost. It was incredible. And once we discovered that put a whole different focus in store and on the online experience and how we can improve it and make customers more sticky. So
guys, thank you all very much. It brings us to the end of this episode, and I think really a lot to take from that. I want to thank Patrick Hogan, who's the founder of the SeaBox Group, and Chris Moore, sales manager at Digi Systems Ireland. And Richard, as always, thank you very much. So until next time.
Thanks, Breandán. Thanks, Patrick. Thanks, Chris. Really great chat. Really enjoyed it.